Right, call to order. Everybody please stand. We'll have the invocation and pledge of allegiance. May wisdom guide our words, patience shape our listening, and goodwill lead our decisions. Let this gathering serve a greater good. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. I'm going to call for approval of the agenda. Call for a motion to approve the agenda.
I move that we approve the agenda.
Second motion.
Okay, agenda approved. Old business. So old business, read agenda item. That's it. Ask for vote to approve the minutes as written. Approve any changes, change any changes, deny the minutes, with an explanation of the motion.
I move that we approve the minutes as written.
I second the motion.
Okay, old business approved. New business. Going to ask if anybody wants to be sworn in and to speak.
Anyone who's going to speak.
Nobody to speak.
I said anyone who wants to speak
Anybody
needs to be
wants to speak.
sworn in.
Yep. Go ahead and raise your right hand for me.
We
You
got a
swear
guy.
to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, new business. Consideration of a variance request to approve a reduction of the 60% minimum frontage build-out on parcel 02946040001 located on White Hardy Boulevard within the White Hardy Boulevard Master Plan and zoned downtown general commercial within the T4 transit zone. And we also have a consideration of a variance request to approve the elimination of the 12-foot public sidewalk requirement on parcel 02946040001 located on the White Hardy Boulevard within the White Hardy Boulevard Master Plan and zoned at downtown commercial within the T4 transit zone. Chris, you want to give a presentation, please?
Yes, sir. Thank you guys for coming this afternoon. So we're here to see a case for a variance for low country countertops that'll be done on White Hardy Boulevard. I remember to point this way. So the variance request is for two items. It's for a variance against dimensional standards in section 2.6.g and the streetscape zone requirements for section 2.6.g1.8 on White Hardy Boulevard. The applicant is seeking a variance to allow for the building to be built at less than the required 60% minimum frontage build out and to eliminate the 12-foot public sidewalk that's required. So for a little bit of background, the parcel is located on White Hardy Boulevard across the street from the post office and zoned downtown general commercial. In May of 2021, this property did go through the Board of Zoning Appeals for a special exception to allow the use only. And at that time, it was approved with conditions that they would have noise mitigation and no outside storage. That special exception still applies to this case today. So if it were to move forward, they would still have to comply with what was set at the original case for noise mitigation and no outside storage. The project did come to staff review committee and had one round of comments, and they were never addressed, which meant that the application essentially had expired because it had been so long. And during that time, additional standards were approved and put into place. The last time we had spoken to the engineer was April 4th of 2022 until they reached back out in August of 24 to move ahead with the project. Like I said, the applicant's here for a variance request. But at this time, I want to bring up Branna. She's going to give a little bit more background on the White Hardy Boulevard master plan and MZDO update.
No.
I don't need that. Sorry, I got lots of papers, so please forgive me. First want to give you the background on exactly why this situation occurred when it occurred. It wasn't because we knew they were coming through or anything like that. Back in 2020, City Council adopted a White Hardy Boulevard master plan. The intent of that at the time was to create a true downtown corridor, make downtown a more walkable place, create a sense of place that we want to have more pedestrians and more activities and restaurants and coffee shops and those types of things. And it divided White Hardy Boulevard into 3 different areas. This area happens to be right on the edge of the true downtown area, the middle, right near around the intersection and parts of Main Street, and the business park district, which goes north from Gar Lane up to Exit 8. So it's right on that edge of those districts. When we updated the MZDO last year, we went through a lot of different things, but we made the zoning appropriate to create the image and the vision that we had in the White Hardy Boulevard master plan by creating these transect zones. Basically, it's more of it's a hybrid. It's a kind of a form-based. You're creating your downtown with these districts, and it brings the buildings closer to the street, puts the parking in the rear. It gives the wide sidewalks and creates the look of what we're trying to accomplish. This was a big push from City Council and from the public that Hardyville needs to be creating a downtown. So what was placed in the MZDO and approved by Council last February, in February of '24, the purpose of this article, and it's the Downtown and White Hardy Corridor Standards, the purpose of this article is to establish development standards that will assist in the revitalization of White Hardy Boulevard, with particular focus on creating a true downtown where White Hardy meets Main Street as envisioned in the White Hardy Boulevard Master Plan. To achieve revitalization, it is important to address the design of both the private and the public realms. While White Hardy Boulevard is a federal highway, the city works closely with DOT and the property owners to create the vision that we're looking for here. So that's where I think we had a question from one of the planning commissioners on why this changed in the middle of his process. And because it had been a while on the working with staff review committee, it had been a couple of years, that's where the change happened. So we wanted to create a downtown. We want this property to fit in with it. We are certainly comfortable with the use, but we want the form and the intent to remain. So I hope that answers some questions, and I'll give you any other information I can.
So, just to clarify, you said that this whole process started back in 2020?
The White Hardy Boulevard Master Plan did. The ordinance did not get amended
Right.
until last year. It's a ongoing process. So.
And this particular project came up in 2021?
It came through BZA in 2021, so we had been talking to them prior to that, yeah.
But at that point, there was just the discussion of the special exception. It was talking about the use. It was not talking about the form and the dimensional standards. Okay. I hope that helps a little bit. I'm gonna walk this way, make it easy.
All right. So for the project setting, they're pretty much surrounded by downtown general commercial, except when you jump across the railroad track behind them, they're in the county. So this is a view here of, this is the property here. You have the railroad that runs along this backside, and then White Hardy Boulevard, and then this is the post office right here. And I just want to give you a little more aerial so you could get a better view of what's surrounding this area and what the lots here are all pretty much uniform down that side of the street. You have So on this side here, there's a smaller right-of-way. When you jump across the street, because I know the applicant had mentioned a larger right-of-way, it's actually on this side of the road that has the larger right-of-way. It's a little bit smaller on this side. And there's just some of the pictures that I have. So when looking at the variance, you're going to look at these 5 different points, and this is where you're going to determine whether they qualify for a variance or not. And I'm going to go in more detail here in the next slide during the analysis. But so during the analysis, there extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to this particular piece of property. Staff found that there wasn't anything extraordinary or exceptional with this property. It kind of is aligned with everything that's on that side of the street. They're all the same. So there really are not any extraordinary or exceptional conditions here. And these conditions do not generally apply to other properties in the vicinity. Staff reviewed, and the condition on this property are similar to all the other ones on 17 that have the railroad system behind them. Because these conditions exist, the application of the ordinance to the particular piece of property would effectively prohibit or unreasonably restrict the utilization of the property. Staff does not believe that the current ordinance restricts the land from being built to meet the current requirements. The authorization of a variance will not be of substantial detriment to adjacent property or to the public good, and the character of the district will not be harmed by granting the variance. Staff does believe that allowing this variance would go against the character of the district. The properties that lie within the transect zones and the White Hardy Boulevard master plan were looked at, considered as the ordinance was going through, and this would be this type of variance would go against what the vision is for White Hardy Boulevard and what's been approved in the master plan. And then once again, are there special circumstances or conditions? Staff reviewed the request and found that the conditions on the property exist along Highway 17, where this railroad, oh my gosh, CSX railway runs, and are not unique to this property. Granting this variance request could potentially impact the character of the zoning district and not align with the White Hardy Boulevard master plan. Based on the information provided and the variance criteria not being met, staff does recommend denial for this variance. And when making your motion today, if you decide to do a motion to approve the application as presented, you'll need to state your findings of fact and how they meet each of those 5 points. If you're going to approve the application with conditions, findings of fact, why you're going to approve it and what the conditions are, make sure you're clear on that. But if you're going to deny the motion, you're going to also state your finding of facts and why you're denying it for each of those points. So at this time, I'm going to allow Tony Morse. He's the engineer for this project. So if you have any questions for him, he will take it from here.
Good evening, gentlemen. First of all, I'd like to say that the conditions that are imposed on this property, because we have wetlands on the right side of the property that are mapped wetlands by the Corps, prevents us from doing the full length of the building. And the full length of the building will not allow us to even get into the property because of the wetlands. Now, it took us almost 14 months after the first submission to go through the Corps, and that's why it's so late in coming back, because there were wetlands suspected on the site. And we had to go through that process and get them mapped and come back with the initial building. So what I have done is I've created a couple of scenarios, and I have gone back and forth with the state to try to get these approved, because when I went in for the review, I was told that the building had to be 60% coverage on the front of the building, on the front of the site. And this happened during the period where we were still working to get this site done. The site now with the wetlands on it, and suggestion by staff to try to do a right in, right out will work. But I can't get the full length of the building. It's just impossible. With the wetlands there, I can come up with a 142-foot building. If you eliminate the wetlands and then put that in, I think we come up with a shortage of like 4 feet, 4 to 6 feet, something like that. That would have to be a variance with the right in, right out for the building. But the building, in my opinion, meets the effectiveness of the ordinance. So, the state will not allow us to put the 12-foot path in their right-of-way, past our site. This has been, I sent email documentation to staff on that. So that's the reason we can't put 12. I was trying to develop the site so it had curb and gutter and meet the efficiencies and the guidelines of the site. They won't allow curb in their right-of-way. So that's not allowed. So that's why I've got to pull the 12-foot path out of their right-of-way. And this comes from the state itself. The state also prefers that we match up with Carr Street across the way to come into the site, which reduces the building down to about 17 feet of the frontage if you take out the wetlands on the site. So the wetlands is a problem at this point in time. And if you take the wetlands, if you allow the wetlands to come out of the length of the site, we can come close to meeting that 60% frontage. Otherwise, we don't have a site.
So I got a question. So I saw the plot plans that were sent over. And what's to preclude this building from being set back further than what it is now? That's just speaking to one of the ordinances.
What prevents it from being set back further is that we have to have area for stormwater management and the parking on the rear of the building.
But before, you had a building that was set back further, started the same.
Actually, it was about the same exact area. It's like 10 feet behind. We've got a bunch of utilities on the front of the site. And that restricts us from coming forward anymore. So that's why it had to be set back 10 feet so that we could put landscaping in the front of the building.
I understand that, but I'm just saying that the original plan was narrower and deeper.
Yes, sir.
So I'm saying right now, you're going wider and narrower.
That's correct, sir.
You can't slide that building back in that dimension? No?
That's,
Go ahead. I'm asking a question, because I don't have much to go on here. I mean,
Yeah, so it does have to be wider and a little more narrow because their parking is required to the rear.
To create that,
To create the,
that downtown feel and what we're trying to accomplish,
Mhm.
the buildings should be closer to
Yeah.
the street.
that was the reason for the shift.
but as I read, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but as I read this, both criteria are coming under question, meaning eliminating, are we still getting the 12-foot sidewalk?
Yeah,
No. No, that's, he said no.
well, I have not seen the letter from the state saying no to the sidewalk. But the way it's designed, the way we've worked with DOT and our folks in designing the code for this, it would have the 12-foot sidewalk and the building would be brought up. So it makes it like you're walking down a downtown street,
Okay.
a main street, and you're walking from the sidewalk into the building.
The existing sidewalks,
And DOT did endorse the White Hardy Boulevard Master Plan. I understand that the curbing and everything is a new thing and everything, but there are ways to accomplish a pathway for now, until the road is curb and guttered, but a pathway that would accomplish the same concept.
the existing sidewalks that come up to this property are not
There
12
are
feet
none.
wide.
There are none on that side.
Would sure look like one when I drove down the road.
There's some further down from,
Yeah, down further.
down further, but not,
They're not 12 foot.
no, that's what we're trying to accomplish.
Okay.
And, you know, I appreciate them trying to accomplish that, but the state has basically told me no. And this is on several occasions, on submissions to them, that they will not allow that 12-foot path in their right of way. And I sent emails to Christopher, showing the comments by the state.
And that's something we'll have to reach back out and investigate,
They
because
have,
we did work with the state when we were coming up with these standards. Not specifically on his property, but we can work on that.
and everything that he submitted to me, you guys have in your packet. So you guys have all that stuff sent to you by Ashley. Everything that Mr. Moore sent to me, you guys have in review. And I don't remember seeing anything from SCDOT. I remember him, I know like the plans that he sent were marked up that said they were by SCDOT, but I never saw an official approval letter or anything or denial of that being allowed.
So, you know, we're willing to put the 12-foot path in if DOT will allow us. The state will allow us, we'll put it in. But right now, that's what I've been told by the state.
Do you have a copy of this plot plan that we can blow up on the screen? Possibly?
It's great. I can't read the red writing on this plot plan. Even I can't see.
I mean, I blew it up on my
Technology.
computer, but.
Sorry about that, I sent some 24 about 36 plans in, but
I kind of, yeah, I was actually gonna ask for that.
He's got you. I'll be right back.
I believe that we effectively meet the intent of the ordinance, even though we can't meet the 60%.
How far off are you of 60%?
With the right in right out, I think we're about 5 or 6 feet short. You know, and with the state would prefer, we would be like 17 feet off. That's,
Testing the system.
that is if you allow the wetlands that come up to the road to be eliminated from this requirement, because those wetlands have to stay wetlands.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you can't eliminate wetlands, can you?
Yeah.
You can't, but the way the code is written, you can't exclude the wetlands, they're part of the property. You would have to shift the building over to the other side.
That's what I just.
Yeah, so, but you can't exclude them from the consideration of the frontage requirement. That's why when we did the analysis, when Chris did his analysis, he looked at if that condition with having wetlands on the site was unique to this property and found that it is not. The majority of the properties on that side of the road do have this, yes.
So, I didn't touch anything. What would I get?
Very well.
So under 2.6G and 2.6G, there's a one, it called for a 12-foot sidewalk, and then there was also a buffer from the sidewalk to the street, right? A landscape buffer, as I recall, as I read it.
I'm
Say
sorry.
that- You have to ask that again, I'm sorry.
So as I read that article, wasn't there a certain landscape buffer from the street to the sidewalk, and then the sidewalk, and then the building.
There are landscape requirements. We can
Katie's in-
dig into that real quick.
Continue while I look.
They called it a furnishing zone.
Yes,
Yeah.
and that is, the details of that would come in as we're going through SRC and making this work.
Mhm.
But we didn't even get to that point because we had these two items that were not, we were trying to work on and justify and give where we could give and work on and deal with creating the concept that we're looking for.
Mhm.
So as she's looking up to see exactly how that works and how it's worded in there, we will be happy to work on some of those things to make sure we have the landscaping, to make sure we have it. But we want to get the concept and not start a precedence of just
No, I get it. Well, it's
8 feet.
8-foot
8
furnishing
feet.
zone.
8 feet. You were
8
correct.
feet.
Yep.
Yeah. So do we have 20 feet from the street?
We haven't got that far.
We haven't
Yeah.
got that far.
We're
Mm-mm.
looking at,
We're,
Sorry, I
we're just looking for building size and sidewalks, and the details in between will be reviewed during SRC to make sure those comply. And I know there's like exhibit A, B, C, and D in here. I don't know.
It's the other,
There we go.
it's the design for SCDOT, that's the sheet I'm looking at. This one.
Is that, which exhibit is that?
Doesn't have one on it.
You just have one that said
There's
SCD.
option 1 and option 2.
That one.
Right in, right out, and right out only.
No, that's not it.
That option right there shows, if you eliminate the wetlands and you put the 60-foot coverage of the building without the wetlands, you can see that you can't get into the site. The building runs into the entrance into the site. Put up the next one. Okay, here we have the building matching up with the street, which VDOT SouthDOT prefers. But the building's like 17 feet short of meeting the intent. So, yeah, all of these scenarios are based on this wetland being here.
Yeah, I understand, I
All right.
understand.
Yeah, Chris, put up the next one, please.
And I just want to, sorry, real quick, I just want to state for the record too, that staff has not seen any correspondence from SCDOT. So we would need those letters stating that would be part of our process, but we have not seen anything from them.
I did send it, so, okay. But, going on. This with the right in, right out, which was suggested by Katie.
Mhm.
We can come up with a building that's 135 feet long. And it would be, taking the wetlands out, it would be 7 feet short of meeting the 60%. I can't go any further because then I would have to get permission from next door to go onto their site. But this is the proposal, and what we're doing is, we're trying to do some articulation on the building, so it doesn't look like an industrial building, one long building.
Okay, we need you to make sure you're at the microphone.
Oh,
as
I'm
we-
sorry. So we will do articulation into the building so that they would give the effect that the downtown area is looking for. But this is, right, at this point, this is the best we can come up with. And the client originally wanted 4,800 feet, 4,800 square feet. This one is like 5,000 square feet. So the client is giving in to get additional building and to try to meet the intent of the code at this point. This is the box that we've been put in.
Did you explore at all with the neighbor, a common drive for the two properties?
But then we would have to get permission from the
That's
other
what I just
property
said,
owner
did
to
you
do that.
consult with them at all?
No.
Because that would solve a lot of the problem.
That is, excuse me, follow my rule. That is one thing that as we've talked about recently with council and with planning commission, the White Hardy Boulevard master plan and our standards, the transect zones are trying to create our shared access and shared parking. So that would be a positive thing from our perspective.
So you guys have nothing from SCDOT that you're aware of?
I do not. I gave you guys everything that that was submitted to me for this case.
So we're kind of,
He kind of wrote in on their SCDOT, but I didn't see like an actual letter from SCDOT approving or
It was
denying.
sent by me to them. The COD sent me the comments.
I will be happy for staff to reach out to SCDOT and see what we can come up with and come back to you. If you want to look at tabling this so that we can come up with some other solutions, and that might be a good way to handle it. I'm just, right now, we don't have, and a lot of folks do ask us when they're communicating with DOT to get involved, to try to help, because they did endorse the White Hardy Boulevard master plan. So maybe it's something that they're just not aware of, but we don't have anything official.
There's no way to change the right in, right out and how it's designed right now so it can shift left.
It can shift left,
it would
if we get permission from the next door.
No, I'm not talking about staying within property. Staying within property. Right now, you,
Right now, it's just barely staying within the property.
Because of the,
And that design is per SCOD.
the turn radius.
got it.
That thing.
Yeah, got it.
That is in their manual.
Nate, you got any comments? Any questions?
No, it just seems as though, it's not a complete understanding of what staff was suggesting or what the architect said DOT prohibited from being done. I think you said that the 12-foot sidewalk was a part of the plan that you said that we could look at, and he's kind of countering that and said that DOT said no. So I'm thinking based on those two different opinions that I heard,
Yeah.
we should recess and let them get
And
their
we, my client would gladly put a 12-foot sidewalk in there if SCOT will allow it.
The question I have is, even when you get back to us, and when you mentioned that the plan can go forward, the exception would include the 12-foot sidewalk, would that making the sidewalk, or eliminating the wetland, or how would that work when you said you can?
No, we're not recommending anyone eliminate any wetlands. That is not we don't have that authority.
It's illegal.
Yeah,
No,
we don't have
so
that.
when the 12-foot sidewalk can exist,
That would be something that we would the details of that would come out at SRC. What we're looking for here is the willingness to follow those rules and let us work that out as we go through the process with the other agencies that are involved, because in our SRC process, we do have a number of different agencies involved.
I think it might be appropriate to table this until we hear from the Department of Transportation. And then we would have enough information to move forward. That's just the thought.
is there any way to entertain the sharing the right of way, like someone suggested, and we can
That could
find
be a
out that information
conversation.
when we get back?
Yeah, they give you some homework to do too.
Yeah. We will contact the next door neighbor and see what we can work
I
out.
can't imagine they would object if it's a common.
I gotta ask this question. When the client bought this land, did he not know that he had wetlands?
I'm sorry?
Did he not know he had wetlands there?
We were told, what the client was told, there were no wetlands when this was sold to him. And under the first review, it came out as a comment, and we sent the property out to a wetlands expert to take care of it. That's 14 months that we lost, so.
Not that I want another meeting, but I'm gonna recommend that we kind of table this until we get several more answers. I don't wanna make the wrong decision here.
Well, I'll move that we table this until we have enough information to proceed.
We need a date certain.
Yeah.
So,
When you do your, tabling, you guys will need to do it with a date for the next meeting.
Know when you're gonna have the information,
If you give us, so many days, just to say,
but you're not in control, it's the Department of Transportation.
we will have something for,
So 60 days would be enough?
absolutely.
Okay, there would be something.
We did
60 days.
60 days. So amend the motion.
So I'm in the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Well, I mean,
That'd be great. Thank you.
sorry.
All the information.
I just,
That's a good place to start.
That might be an easy solution. Maybe it's back.
Yeah, 60
So
days.
you have to table both items.
Yes.
Thank you, gentlemen.
So we need
Put it
another
in our
motion?
Another motion to table the second item, yes, please.
Yeah, I move to table the second item for 60 days.
Maybe we should talk.
You should talk.
We slide it to the bottom.
We can send a letter to the church
Get us some more people on this committee.
to bring us up to
We are-
date. Maybe you
We
can make
had
a
someone
presentation to us.
ask yesterday, so
And,
I'm well on the way to getting you at least,
Okay, that'd be great, just so,
You have,
I'll put something together.
you have a card?
Just give me a call and.
This is you?
Yeah.
Okay. And the home number.
You guys have 2 more items. If you don't have any commission member comments, go ahead and say that, and then we need to make a motion to adjourn.
motion to adjourn. Geez, I had that in my red notes.
That's when we can.
Agreed.
All right, motion second.
We have agreed.
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, we do the stance again.
Yeah, we get to see each other in 60 days.
Or less. You can do it before 60 days, right?
We can, as soon as we get some information back, we will,